we speak about the menorah. Initially, we speak about the oil, the quality of the oil that is needed for the kindling of the menorah. And now, where is the menorah located? Pasuk Chaf Aleph. Ba'ol Moed, michutz laparoches. It's in the Ol Moed, outside of the curtain. Asher le'idus. Outside of the curtain that is alo edus, on the testament, meaning the Aron is referred to as Aron Ho'edus, because the testament is contained within the Aron, which is the Luchos and the Shivri Luchos, the tablets, the broken tablets, and the Torah. So the menorah is in the outside of that curtain that separates between the Holy and Holy of Holies. Yarchos Aron Ubonov. That's where it has to be arranged. Aaron and his sons, Me'erev ad boker, that there's enough oil in that menorah to burn from evening till the morning, L'fnei Hashem. Before God. What does it mean before God? That since the Shekhinah, the divine presence is in the Holy of Holies, and the menorah is on the outside of that curtain that separates between the Holy and the Holy of Holies. So when he arranges that menorah with the oil, with the wicks, and he kindles it, it's before Hashem. Chukas Olam Dorosam. This is a statute for always, for all generations, Beis B'nai Yisrael, from the Jewish people. As we have communal offerings that were brought every day on Rosh Chodesh, on Shabbos, on Yom Tov, we had the Musaf offering, which was brought. The oil of the menorah, that was considered a communal offering. The oil was purchased from the Machzah Shekel, from the half a silver coin that every male Jew gave above the age of 20. So therefore, the kindling of the menorah represented Klal Yisrael. Aaron was the only one, and his sons, he had to be a Kohen to be qualified to kindle it. So Rashi makes it a point, Me'erev ad boker, has to burn from evening till morning. Now, well, it depends on the time of year. If you have a shorter night, you would need less oil. If it's a longer night, like the winter nights, you'd have to put more oil in there, because it has to burn from evening till morning. So Rashi says, Ten lo midoso, shetei dolekes me'erev ad boker. Put in enough oil, the measure that it should burn from evening till morning. V'shiru chachomim chatzi lo l'lei tkufas tevis haruchin. They made an evaluation. It's a half a pint per receptacle for the nights of the winter, which are the long winter nights. But that was the standard. So even though summer nights are shorter, nevertheless, it would burn longer. Meaning it would burn beyond the morning, wasn't a problem. But minimally, it had to burn from evening until morning. If it would be left over, it's not a problem. Now, the Torah makes it a point, where is the menorah put? Is it put and kindled? Michutz laparoches. We had explained that the menorah, which is illumination, you realize what do you have to illuminate that location? Nobody was there. The only thing was there, as we mentioned, is the menorah, the shulchan, the golden table, and you have the mizbeach hazov, the golden altar, which you sacrifice the ketores. But at nighttime, there was nobody in there. By the time morning came, the menorah already was extinguished. So why exactly do light that light? It's not for illumination in terms of illuminating the location. So we explained, as we explained yesterday, symbolism-wise, light represents illumination. It represents the elucidation of Torah Shebechsav. The oral law is the elucidation of Torah Shebechsav, of the written law. So what would be the logical location to put the menorah? Right alongside the Aron. If the Aron is in the Holy of Holies, you put the Aron, you put the menorah alongside it. This is the written law, and the menorah, which is illumination, should be put right alongside, because this represents the siyata dishmaya, the divine assistance that gives us the ability to comprehend the depths of truth. But yet the Torah makes it a point in the chutz laparoches. So maybe you'd say, because the Kohen Gadol was only permitted to go into the Holy of Holies once a year on Yom Kippur. Any other time he was not permitted to go there. So therefore, maybe you have no choice but to put it on the outside of the curtain, on the other side of the curtain, because that's the closest you could come to that location. Because the Aron, there was no reason to go in the Holy of Holies. Only once a year, the Kohen Gadol would go in there, and he would sacrifice the ketores. It was a special ketores, in addition to the ketores that was sacrificed every day of the year, twice a day. But during the year, you couldn't go there. But that we know from elsewhere. The Torah doesn't have to tell me it should be placed outside the curtains. There's a point. Why is it chutz leparoches? So the Midrash explains that when Hashem asks us to light the lights of the menorah, it's chutz leparoches. Why is it chutz leparoches? But before it's chutz leparoches, Klal Yisrael asks Hashem, why are you asking us to light the menorah? That means God needs our light. God needs our illumination. Ata Oru Shel Olam. You are the illumination of the world. If you're the illumination of the world, we don't have to illuminate that location. In regard to dark, in regard to God, there's no difference whether it's dark or light. It's all the same. God is the source of all light. And as I said, it's not for us to be able to see there. So evidently we're doing it for God. So we ask Hashem, Ata Oru Shel Olam, you are the light of the world. So why are you asking us to light the menorah? That's the question Moshe Rabbeinu asks Hashem. So Hashem answers Moshe, Kedei lahalos eschem be'enu masa'olam, to elevate you in the eyes of the nations of the world. That the world should see that I need your light. That's what Hashem answers Moshe, that I need your light. And then the Midrash says, and why is it chutz leparoches? Why is it on the other side of the curtain, not within the Holy of Holies? Because don't think for a moment, la'orchem ani tzorich. Don't think for a moment that I need your light. So in truth, I don't need your light. But I'm asking you to kindle the menorah so the world should see that I do need your light. So what are we trying to do over here? We're trying to what? To deceive the world. In reality, God doesn't need the light. But they should perceive and believe that he needs our light. Does he need a light? Doesn't need a light. Of course he does need our light. If God's the creator and God wills all creation, what do you mean, l'orchem ani tzorich? I don't need your light, but the reason why I'm asking you to light that candelabra with the oil is to elevate you in the eyes of the nations of the world. What exactly is going on? Now, we speak in two locations in the Torah. If you follow my statutes and you keep the mitzvahs and do whatever else, in the physical sense, there'll be bounty, unlimited bounty. Bracha, unceasing bracha, as we read at the beginning of Chukosai. And if not, God forbid, there's tragedy, curses, which is the extreme of what bracha is, the antithesis of bracha. And again, in Kisovo, again we read the Tochacha. If you follow my ways, then it's the ultimate in the positive. Otherwise, it's disastrous. I mean, the world rises and falls. It's not only us. All existence advances if the Jews advance spiritually. If we lag and we fail spiritually, God withdraws from existence. And that's called klola. The world is cursed, whatever it may be. And all the bracha or klola in the world is based upon the behavior of the Jew. Because the world was created, so what we think, even though the Jew may be under the heel of the nations of the world, we spoke about the 4 exiles, but in terms of what true bracha is, the world doesn't even know what true bracha is. When the Jews were at the level, that pinnacle of spirituality, at the time of Shlomo Melech, the time of David HaMelech, time of the Beis HaMikdash, as it says that all bracha, the 70 bulls, oxen, that were brought during the 7 days of Sukkot, each day a certain number, which corresponds to the 70 root nations of the world, all the bracha of the world comes due to those oxen, those bulls that were brought every day. And as the Gemara says in Sukkah, that if the nations of the world would have understood its value for them personally, they would have encircled the Beis HaMikdash with legions of soldiers to protect it, that it should not be destroyed. So not only did they not protect it, they destroyed it. But bracha and klola is dependent on the Jewish people. The Gentile sins, fails, it's something that's limited to themselves. They're punished. Their actions have no ramifications on the world level. It all relates to them personally. Any one of the root nations, if they fail, they're personally punished. It doesn't affect the other 70 root nations. The Jews fail, since the foundation of bracha emanates due to the Jews, the world starts faltering. So why does God need our light? He doesn't need our light. God is not bound to anything. God is saying, why am I asking you to kindle that light? God says, because I want to elevate you in the eyes of the world, that they should understand that you're pivotal to the world. The world rises and falls based on your behavior, on your illumination, on your study of Torah. But in reality, is God locked into our behavior? If God chooses for whatever reason, despite our delinquency and our violation of the Torah, he chooses for whatever reason to bring bracha to the world, God is not bound by anything. Rav Chaim Volozhin explains in Nefesh HaChaim that Paro believed that although God may have been the creator initially, he withdrew from creation because God is not involved in the minutiae of existence. He gave over the world to the hosts of heaven that he created, to the angels. However, even if he wants to intervene, he can't. Why can't he intervene? Because once he gave away the store, so to say, the authority of how the world functions, he's locked into that. I'll give you an example. A person puts a lock in his home, the best lock, and he has the key. You have the key, you can open that door. You lose the key, although you had the lock put in, and you even created the lock. You're the locksmith, but if you don't have your tools, you're locked out of the house, or you're locked in the house. They believed that God himself is, once he created the world, he's locked into that system. He cannot override the system. Hashem says, "L'orochem eini tzorich." Don't make that mistake. In terms of the actual function of the world functions based on the behavior of the Jew. That's kedei lahalos eschem be'eini umos. That's to elevate you in the eyes of the nations of the world. But in reality, don't think for a moment. Therefore, when you kindle that menorah, where do you put it? You put it on the outside of the curtain. The outside of the Holy and Holies, not to think for a moment that I need your infusion of spirituality to make things function. Because God is independent of everything. It's only because that's his will, and under normal circumstances, everything is determined by our behavior. But otherwise, there's never a moment that we actually empower God. God forbid. However, every day, we say in davening, in Psukei de Zimra, Tenu Ozle Lokim. Empower God. Psukei de Zimra. David Mel says, Tenu Ozle Lokim. Oz is power. Empower God. What do you mean, Tenu Ozle Lokim? We find Moshe Rabbeinu says that Tzu Yilot Choteshi in Hazinu. Tzu, the rock you've weakened. You've weakened the rock. The rock is God. How do we weaken the rock? By our misbehavior, God withdraws. We weaken the relationship. To do Ozle Lokim, empower God. What's the empowerment of God? By us behaving correctly and doing His will, that's an empowerment, because the way He created the world, based on our levels of achievement, that's how the world becomes empowered, because we are the power source for all existence. So this is the understanding. Even though I am the light of the world, and Moshe says you're the light of the world, you need our illumination to elevate you. That factually the world does function based on your behavior, but if I should choose to override the system, that's orchem eini tzorch. Therefore, the menorah was on the other side of the curtain, not in the Holy of Holies.